Hello everyone, it's Mark Scholero, the owner of MS Classic Cars, and I'm coming right back at you with another special classic. Today, I'm sitting behind the wheel of a very rare and very special 1965 Chevrolet Biscayne that's packing a 409 backed by a 4-speed transmission. This car is one of 20 ever made, and it's completely matching numbers. Come learn more about this special ride. To start off this presentation here, this is a non-rehearsed video. There's going to be some information that I'm sure to forget, so please visit our website at msclassiccars.com for a complete description with a ton of highly detailed photos. If you have or have not been following MS Classic Cars, I'd like to mention that I only collect number 1 and number 2 condition vehicles. I've been doing that since inception. MS Classic Cars has sold almost 1,000 vehicles over the time that we've been in business that we're very proud of. You can witness all those vehicles on our website sold page, again, at msclassiccars.com. We're very proud to say that we are the only classic car dealership in the country who services everything that we sell, and we document that work with an invoice. So as an example, with this particular car here, in this brand new binder that I supply for every vehicle we sell, the first thing that you see is the invoice. You can also reference this in our photo gallery. It clearly documents everything that we've done, which totaled $6,367.81. I will say it over and over, regardless of who restores these cars, whether they're factory correct, like this car is here today, or they're custom, they all need to be sorted out, and that's what we do here at the dealership. We eliminate all that and all the surprises that new owners get when they buy these classic cars that are not serviced. We also detail these vehicles to a very high level, starting from the undercarriage, working our way up to the top, which is evident in all the photos that we provide. And I will personally answer any phone calls, any emails that you might have regarding anything that we have for sale, including this vehicle here. I will also be the person that's responsible for doing all your paperwork and assisting with all your enclosed transportation. We will even cover the car with a brand new plastic car cover once it's loaded inside the enclosed trailer to make sure that it arrives at your doorstep as clean as it left here today. So please do your homework on MS Classic Cars. To start off this presentation of this particular car here, which I'm super excited about, I am going to read a paragraph that I have composed, which you can read on our website, that just goes over some of the production numbers, the history of this car, and so forth. So let's get into it now. This seductive, and I'm going to say why I use the word seductive. Seductive to me is kind of like a sleeper, something that's real kind of quiet, but it has a presence. This car, to me, especially in this beautiful color, really has a seductive look. So I labeled it Seductive 65 Chevrolet Biscayne 409 400 horsepower 4-speed is extremely rare and completely original matching numbers. In 1965, only 2,828 Chevrolet models were equipped with a 409 V8. Think about that. Through the entire production of all Chevrolets, only 2,828 were born with a 409 engine. Of those, 2,086 were the 340 horsepower version. 742 of them were the 400 horsepower version. So again, we're only talking 742 vehicles through the entire Chevrolet production were built with a 400 horsepower 409. That is a very small number. This example, this Biscayne that we're sitting in, is one of only 20 that were ever built with a 409. And this car was built with the 400 horse. It's estimated that only a few of these cars exist today, and this is a golden opportunity to purchase a super rare car. So, from the information gathered, this car was ordered by a GM employee as a special order vehicle, which would be very similar to a COPO if you were looking at maybe a Chevelle or maybe a Camaro or something like that. It was ordered with a Dunube Blue Metallic exterior and Fawn interior. This color combination is absolutely gorgeous. You will clearly see in all of our photos how special it is. It was also ordered with a convenience package delete, which means it eliminated the exterior mirrors and the backup lights. The previous owner purchased the car in 1971 and parked it in 1975. During that time, it was lightly hot rodded with hood pins, aftermarket gauges, and an air cleaner. After 35 years of ownership, the previous owner sold the car on eBay to a gentleman named Paul Burt in 2006. The car was in very good original condition with 81,000 original miles. Photos of the car in its original state of condition at time of sale are included and presented in our photo gallery. These photos clearly document its originality, which is worth its weight in gold. So let's talk about that just for 1 second. When we see photos of cars that are being restored, most of the time we see pictures of the restoration, we see pictures of the body off the chassis, pictures of the engine, the interior out of the car, and so forth. We have pictures of this car in its original state of condition. So when I say it's worth its weight in gold, it clearly is. The car had the original paint, it had the original interior. You have to look at some of these photos. We've got pictures of the seats being taken apart. You can see all the foam. You can see how messy everything was. It's just really nice when you have all of that original photos to reference. So again, make sure to check that out in our photo gallery. The car was then sent to Steve Miller of Classic Restorations Plus in Rockford, Illinois in 2007 for a rotisserie nut and bolt restoration. I have spoken to Steve. He's a great guy. He kind of went over the details of this car, which I'm kind of going over now with you, and how much work went into this restoration. Again, he's very proud of it, as I am. Steve completed the car in roughly 8 months. He was on this vehicle day and night, bell to bell. The photos of the restoration are again included. In 2007, once the car was completed, it was shown at Chevy Vettefest, where it received a Gold Spinner Award. That's a really big deal award. That award is not included, but it is documented that the car did indeed achieve that. In February of 2008, it was featured in Muscle Car Review magazine, which is included. So on that subject, in this binder here, when you flip through, again, I have all the restoration photos that are on a CD here. We have hard copies of the restoration photos that are back here in the binder. And if you flip past the invoices for service, we have the Muscle Car Review magazine. Again, you can see pictures of this in our photo gallery, but here's the magazine. I actually purchased this magazine off of eBay. I was very lucky to have found it and so forth. But what it does is it clearly shows this particular car here. It says Bone Stock Biscayne versus Bel Air Bully, and it kind of tells the entire story that I'm reviewing here with you today of this car, which means it's documented, which is again worth its weight in gold. So this is a magazine featured car as well. Again, very impressive stuff here. So I'll end it by saying this is a great example of an authentic 65 Chevrolet Biscayne, 409, 400 horsepower, 4-speed, that is completely matching numbers. A list with a breakdown of all the numbers and photos is listed in our photo gallery. This is truly a blue chip investment, no pun intended, being Dunube Blue. I will also say that I became friendly with the expert in the business who is really the 409 guru. His name was Vern Frentz, if you have not heard of him. He had come to our dealership to certify a beautiful 64 Impala that was a 409 car. It was June 30th of 2020. It was just a short time after that Vern had passed. Very sad because he was in the middle of writing a book and so forth. And I would have loved to have Vern come from New Jersey where he lived to look at this car in person, certify it for me. We could take pictures with him like we did when he was here on the 64 Impala. So I know he's looking down and he's pretty proud that I have this car here today because he could really go into a lot more detail being an expert in the field than I can. But this is a very, very special car that truly belongs in everybody's collection. So with all of that being said, I'm going to get into the exterior presentation here quick. Talking about the sheet metal on this car. After talking to Steve about the metalwork and so forth, as I mentioned earlier, the car had 2 hood pins in the hood. Again, we're talking very small hood pin holes. He did fill those in, but this is the original hood. It does have all of its original sheet metal, which again is worth its weight in gold. He did have to do some repairs to the rear lower sections of the quarters. We did put all of those photos in the gallery, but again, he did not have to change out the quarters, just had to do patchwork to them. So we're going to say that this car does indeed have all of its original sheet metal. And of course, the car was painted in its original color. This is a beautiful, beautiful shade of blue. It's a metallic color. It just glistens in the sunlight. It's a little bit more of a black at nighttime and so forth. It's just a really seductive color. Again, if you haven't seen it in person, it's a very special deal. When we look at the body on the car, it's super straight. The doors open and close really nice. So does the hood, so does the trunk lid. Again, when you have a car with all original sheet metal, it definitely makes a difference when you're closing doors and things like that. You just can tell the little difference. Regarding all the glass on the car is original and stamped with exception of the front windshield. The front windshield was replaced during the restoration. It's crystal clear, and all of the side glass is in really, really nice condition. Talking about the vent, talking about the door, the rear quarter, and the rear glass in the back. So again, it's all in really nice shape, and it's all original and stamped. Talking about everything else that's on the vehicle, a lot of the original parts that could be salvaged were, so everything was either restored or replaced. I'm referencing things like the headlights, the grille, the emblems, the bumpers, the trim work, and so forth. It's all in beautiful condition. Again, show quality. The car has a killer stance on those 14-inch steel wheels that were painted body color with the hubcaps. They look absolutely awesome. Those wheels are wrapped with kind of an error-correct style tire. They're BF Goodrich Silverstone tires. They're 8.00-14. Again, they're bias ply, error-correct. They look super on this car. When we get into the interior again was finished in its original color of fawn. So again, we have an original VIN tag, original trim tag, original exterior color, and an original interior color. As I said earlier in the video, this is an amazing color combination here. That blue with this tan is just absolutely gorgeous. So talking about the headliner is in beautiful condition. One of the nicest headliners I've seen. There's no drooping, there's no wrinkles. It's just in absolutely beautiful condition. The dome light up here is in working order. We have beautiful sun visors here that are nice and firm. It looks like the brackets are original brackets. Rear view mirror definitely has been replaced. The dashboard was all painted. This is kind of like a two-tone interior in the sense that the dash is kind of this satin gold color, and then the lower portion of the dash is more of like a bronzy brown. Beautiful two-tone. You will also see that flow into the door panels with the same color on the doors, and then you've got this kind of brown strip here in the middle, and then of course that matches the upholstery and everything else. So I would say that the dash is in beautiful condition. All the gauges work and so forth. I want to touch base on the RPM gauge. This is an in-dash RPM. It's a 7,000 tack. It is so rare, that tack, especially having an original one. We sent it out to have it rebuilt, and the guy who did it, who's one of the best guys in the business for these particular tacks, said it's been a long time since he's seen one in this condition. He said it's worth thousands, 2, 3, 4,000 to the right buyer. So again, this is an authentic tack that this car was born with. You can see it in the photos before the restoration, after the restoration. Very special. Again, everything's in working order. All the knobs and everything are in beautiful shape. The heat even works. Again, can't say enough about this interior. And again, it does have a little bit of a originality to it. As an example, the door panels were dyed. These are not replacement door panels. They are original, and they were dyed. When Steve was doing the upholstery in the car, he actually sourced and found original Fawn upholstery. This is not reproduction upholstery that you would order from a company like Year One or whatever. This is actually original that he found and redid the seats and everything else, which I thought was really cool. The seats in the front here do have seat belts. The carpeting was replaced. Again, we ordered brand new floor mats at MS Classic Cars. These are black, kind of rubber rib style floor mats that look really, really nice in the car. Again, everything in this interior is in beautiful condition, right down to the door hardware and this 4-speed shifter and everything else. So the only thing I will mention now that I'm thinking about it is the radio. The radio does come on, it lights up, but it doesn't play. This is again an original Chevrolet AM radio. Not a big deal, but that's something that we didn't really want to mess with because you have to take a portion of this dash out and again send this radio out to have it restored. And I don't know who's going to listen to the AM radio anyway, especially when you got this monster of a motor under the hood. Sometimes rolling down the windows and hearing it is better than anything else. Now, getting into the trunk compartment, you will see that the trunk was completely finished in all of its original style splatter paint, which looks wonderful. It's got the original style new factory trunk mat back there. It also has a full matching spare and the necessary tools. You'll see all those photos in our gallery. Now, here's where it gets really fun. When you open the hood of this car and you look at that engine bay, I think anybody would agree that Steve did an amazing job with this engine compartment. It is absolutely stunning. So I'm going to reference some of my notes here because I do want to touch base on a few things regarding the engine compartment. Of course, the firewall, inner fenders, radiator support, all that was painted in a higher gloss black. He chalked the firewall. Those are factory assembly chalk marks. He even put a stamp there to represent what the factory would have done when it was going down the assembly line. But getting into the motor here, the car is powered by the original matching numbers 409. So this engine is the engine that this car was born with. Okay, once again, as I mentioned earlier in the video, I spent countless hours doing all of these, not only production numbers and breakdown of the VIN number and the trim tag number, but I broke down all of the numbers on the engine, transmission, and rear end. So you can reference all this, again, in our photo gallery. Make sure to check it all out, but it's definitely an original matching numbers car. I just want to be very, very clear on that. The engine was completely rebuilt, and it runs excellent, and I put in my description with a capital E. Michael Marcella, who's our service manager, he's extremely talented, knows engines very, very well, and he told me that this is one of the best 409 engines that we've ever had here. Whoever built it, assembled it, did an amazing job. It runs beautiful, which I'm going to demonstrate in a minute. The engine was factory built with 11-to-1 compression, and it does have a solid lifter cam. It was equipped with the Chrome W valve covers and a chrome twin snorkel air cleaner. This air cleaner on this car is very, very rare. Again, very valuable. The engine is also equipped with its original Snowflake intake and Carter AFB carburetor. Some of the other correct parts include the Packer radio, TV, RS black wires, the GM stamped hoses and clamps. It even has a Delco battery topper with the correct cables. It breathes through the original factory manifolds with a stainless dual exhaust system that sounds beautiful. The engine is coupled to the original matching numbers Muncie 4-speed manual transmission. The transmission was completely rebuilt. It shifts precisely through the gears. The clutch was replaced. That's smooth to operate. And all of the power is transferred to the original matching numbers 12-bolt rear end with 331 gears. So once again, not to bore you with details here, this is just very important. Not only did we take pictures of all of this, but everything coincides. So the car was built December the 4th week. Trim tag indicates 65 Biscayne 8-cylinder. Of course, it was built in St. Louis, Missouri. Again, Fawn interior, blue exterior, and then it had a 2L, which is the 4-speed. When you get into the casting on the engine, it represents a 65 409. The casting date, which they reference as a Julian date because it's 3 digits, non-leap year, was November 10th, so coincides once again with the build date of the car. The pad stamp, the first set, is the VIN that matches the VIN on this car. We have so many references and so many things that Vern taught me when he was here that we are 100% confident this is an original VIN stamp. The second set of numbers, again, all coincide December 18th with the build date of the car. It's a passenger 409 V8, 400 horsepower, 4-barrel manual shift. We did take the intake casting numbers. Again, that showed 409, 400 horsepower, 4-barrel carb with the Carter and so forth. And then the carburetor, even the carburetor numbers, because it is the original carburetor, show that it is a 1965 409 400 horse. Again, the transmission casting number matches up. So does the stamp on the transmission, again showing Muncie, manufacturer December 14th, which is again right in the build date. And last but not least, the stamp on the rear end shows that it's a 12-bolt, shows that it had the 331 gears, and also that it was done and stamped on December 21st. So again, all that information can be referenced on our website. Super critical when you're buying a car like this that you understand how significant it is to have everything be matching numbers. And just to finish this presentation, please check out the undercarriage photos of this car. The underneath of it is absolutely spectacular. Remember, it's original under there. Steve even went to the extent of leaving some of the original rust proofing, if you will, in certain sections. Did a beautiful job painting everything. Of course, the frame was off this vehicle. Painted the frame black. All the undercarriage pieces are black. Rebuilt the steering system, all the suspension. It even has the gray spiral shocks in the back and so forth. The braking system, everything was gone through from top to bottom with this car. We have done a really good job sorting it out. So once again, it's ready for its new owner. So with all that being said, I would ask before I go ahead and start the car, if you have not signed up for our VIP email blast, please do so. That is the best way to follow MS Classic Cars. You can do that by emailing me directly, or you can go right to our website homepage and sign up there. Again, we have thousands of people that are on that list. We are also on all the social media platforms. We would ask to follow us on there as well. We would really appreciate it. I'll say it over and over, that MS Classic Cars, we are not a huge organization. We don't have, 40 vehicles for sale. We don't offer consignments. We don't have tons of salespeople. This is a real small deal here, but we are doing things at a very, very high level. So please find out why, and let's do some business. So I'm going to go ahead and start this car. I'm proud to say it's probably been about maybe 2 weeks, week and a half since I've actually started this car. Remember, it's a 409. It's a 400 horsepower. Typically not easy cars to start. Rule of thumb, especially when you get the higher compression and so forth. But I'm going to show you how awesome this car starts. Again, ice cold here. I'm going to go ahead and pump the gas pedal a few times. I will make note that the cold light in this car still works. These cars were equipped with a cold light indicator that comes on when the engine's cold. When the engine warms up, the light goes off. That still works. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and start it. Let you listen how beautiful she runs. Now this is just a couple seconds. I'm going to turn the key again. And there it is. Fired right up. A true cold start. You can see how beautiful it runs. And as I mentioned, that cold light's on. So we're going to let it warm up for a few minutes here. Give it a few revs so you can see how sweet she sounds. We appreciate you watching. Thank you.